Helpings for the Heart. It is written founder George Vandeman's favorite stories. How does the bee know? A little honeybee has discovered a field of flowers and is ready to return to the hive with a sample of the nectar and pollen. How will it find its way back? Keep in mind that it may be several miles from the hive and that its search for nectar may have led it in several directions before it made its discovery. Yet it will fly straight back to the hive. Who told the bee how to do it? What sort of navigational equipment does it possess? And once back in the hive, how will it communicate to its thousands of fellow bees the location of the treasure it has found? It is true that bees are able to distinguish odors with great skill. If a bee returns to the hive with nectar from flowers nearby, the other bees will leave the hive and fly directly to the source. And they also act as if they have an internal clock. If they discover that food is available at a particular time of day, they return for more at the same hour the next day. But what if the flowers are several miles distant? Surely there must be some limitation to the tiny creature's sense of smell. What then? How can the little bee get across to its fellow bees the location of the treasure? Well, you haven't heard anything yet. Let me tell you about the waggle dance. Sometimes a bee that returns with nectar and pollen goes through a peculiar performance that many scientists believe is its way of communicating the location of the source of nectar. It gives samples of the nectar to the other bees and gets them all excited. Then, as they watch, it does a fancy dance before them called the waggle dance because of the way the bee waggles its abdomen. It goes through a figure 8 across the face of the comb. And the astonishing thing is that the angle of the dance down the vertical comb seems to represent the horizontal direction of the food source with respect to the direction of the sun. And not only that, the number of dances per minute indicates the distance to the field. But surprisingly, the number is in reverse ratio to the distance. That is, the farther away the field, the smaller the number. In other words, if the bee goes through 10 rounds in 15 seconds, the field of flowers is 300 feet away. But if the bee moves in slow motion, say 2 rounds in 15 seconds, the flowers are almost 4 miles away. And listen to this. A little calculation will show that this relationship to distance is not one of simple arithmetic, but is logarithmic. What do you think of that? What kind of brain does the little honeybee have? Who taught it to do all this? How did this tiny creature learn to relate sun angles and distances to dance step routines? And how is it that millions of bees understand the language? Now, I'm aware that some scientists are not convinced that bees do understand the language. They aren't convinced that this strange dance really does communicate to other bees the location of a field of flowers. I'm aware of the controversy over this matter. But if, by any chance, you are inclined to doubt, then consider this. A bee, by means of this dance, can communicate the location to human beings. Humans can understand it. Humans can watch the dance and find the field of flowers. Is that any less striking? Is it any less a miracle to communicate that information to human beings in logarithmic terms than to get it across to other bees? I think not. What kind of brain does the little honeybee have? Is it an accident? No, my friend, it is no accident. The honeybee and his amazing abilities come from the mind and heart of God. The same God who designed you and me and who has sent his Son to be our Savior. Don't you think we can trust him to take care of us, just as he has cared for the needs of the little honeybee?